Good now, everybody. Welcome, revolutionaries, to the Rise Up Morning Show. Whew, what's my hair doing? What are you doing? How you been? It seems like ages since I've seen you. It's been a long weekend of crypto the game shenanigans, of working on stuff shenanigans. I had just a ton of stuff going on, it seemed like. So I hope that you had a good weekend. I hope you've been well since I saw you last. And I am so looking forward to jumping back in with you. My name is Evan. If you're just seeing me for the first time, this is the show with the helpful news, commentary, and question and answer for anyone curious or concerned about cryptocurrency. If you're hearing about Bitcoin, if you're hearing about Dogecoin, you want to learn about this kind of stuff, you're in the right place. Me and Alex are here every Monday through Thursday at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time to help you wrap your heads around what the heck is going on here, how to get involved, how to stay safe, and how to connect with the community that's going to give you a great time while you do it totally for free. So, thank you for being here. And if you're watching on YouTube, sorry as always for the introduction, but you know I got to take care of the new folks. Welcome to everybody who's a regular. I'm so glad to see you. Earthy Hen Vibes, thank you for being here. Leave us a comment. Let us know how you're doing. Let us know if you got any questions. Let me turn up my ring light just a little bit because I look like Batman in the shadows. And we'll get the thing started. Here comes Alex to save me from myself. Perfect. There he is. Oh, there he is. How you doing, Alex?
Wait. Trying something.
Oh, okay. Great.
Does this sound any better or different than usual?
Not really. Maybe worse. But it's
Worse?
Because that mic is picking up all your movements. Go ahead. Say something. Give me some ABCs.
Better or worse?
You sound the same. I sound worse because everyone is hearing me supermarket echo.
Worth a try.
Yeah, but honestly, for whatever you're doing right now, your microphone sounds about the same.
It's all good.
It does sound good.
Figured out what take a shot. Anyway.
I was just getting to the part where I said to everybody, if you noticed that you didn't get a Rise Up Morning Show newsletter this weekend, it's because you didn't. And it's just because I have all the notes. It's a centralized system. And I didn't do a good job of decentralizing it by keeping Alex in the loop on it so he could help me work on it. And honestly, I in addition to Crypto the Game, had a couple of good gigs. And then I got a commercial audition that I had to do. So cross your fingers for me. And expect a newsletter later today. We're going to have a link to the most recent YouTube video there, which is how to read a blockchain explorer. Can't recommend that skill highly enough. Pretty critical. We're going to have a little overview of how I got scammed last week and how you can avoid it. We're going to talk about the difference between bridging and swapping. And in that newsletter, I also sniped a really good article, Alex, from Coinbase. They have an email that they send, Coinbase Bites. It's one of the only other newsletters that I would say I read with any frequency. I hate newsletters. And it's a great one. And they had a whole little section about here's the halving coming up and here's what you can do for it. I don't know, did you see there's a possibility it looks like the halving might happen at the end of this week? Saw some people in Crypto the Game were saying, let's have a halving party in New York City on Friday. So I don't know what to make about that. But maybe we should talk a little about the Bitcoin halving. It is, what it's going to be. And I'll definitely put that in the newsletter.
Yeah, the tentative date has been 4/20 for a while, give or take a day. So Friday would be...
I thought it was like the end of April, like 4/27 or something.
No, I mean I'll fact check, but not that I'm aware of.
Well, I believe you completely. Look at me. I'm a sucker for trust, man.
Let's see. Yeah, it's projected to be on the 19th, so that is Friday.
Wild. 4/19. I can't believe it would miss the meme. I can't believe it would miss
Honestly,
the meme.
it's pretty rude.
It's pretty rude. Dave, the last newsletter went out last Saturday night. The title was The Rise Up Morning Show is Back, and it started off with a nod to Email Octopus, We talked about a variety of stuff. I'm sure you're on the list. If for some reason you didn't get it though, leave me another comment and I will forward it to you, and you will get a 2-for-1 special. I feel like I saw that you clicked open the newsletter every week, usually on the weekends, whether it's Saturday or Sunday, it changes, and now it's a Monday newsletter. Oh my god! So, so yeah, let me know, please, Dave, if you didn't get it, and I'll absolutely send it to you. And then, Alex, we gotta film some new videos this week, don't we?
Yes, we sure do.
We gotta film some new videos. We've got to look into Circle, getting our community like a unifying home platform that everybody has an easy time with. And then we probably have some exciting interviews coming up too. I definitely can tell you about Dylan Abrascato, the founder of Crypto the Game. And I have talked, and he is so excited to come on our show. He said right after the season ends. And that is going to be an awesome conversation for anybody who hasn't heard about it. Crypto the Game is not just a cool, fun reality game for crypto nerds like me. It is totally going to introduce and influence new dynamics for how everybody who loves reality competitions and like gaming plays in real time. Absolutely innovative, cool, active approach to community gaming. So I'm very, very excited for us to talk to Dylan. And also, honestly, regarding sponsorship, it got a little corporate for me at the end, but he would have these great posts about like, today our game sponsored by PoApp got 7 million clicks and 500 hours of human attention or something like I don't know, and you were just like, wow, is that what it's about, Crypto the Game? But I get it, you got to make the sponsorship money. And I hate Orb by Lens Protocol, but Crypto the Game single-handedly made me spend about 8 hours there and actually kind of enjoy it on a Tuesday. So, good on them, I guess, right? I figured that's an effective commercial.
Yeah, I've been looking at Circle quite a bit. It is a little intimidating, to say the least. But I mean, it seems good. The one thing that I am stuck on is that so when you like start your free trial, you have like a template that you pick, based on what is it courses? Is it, was it membership, community, courses, brands and startups, clubs and organizations, coaching, etc. And once you pick one, the vibe I'm getting is that that's it forever. I spent like an hour and I don't think you can switch. And I couldn't find anything online about, like where do you go to change to a different template? And it was so.
I'm pretty sure I heard Chris on that episode we were listening to talk about how to expand and change the template. We might have to get our intro call with those people going.
Yeah.
See what they say, because I bet that'll be helpful.
I listened to that too. A lot of good stuff in there, but I must have missed that part. But that's all right. Either way.
Well, Tapin says crypto dead. I guess we can all go home now.
Oh, man. Hold on, let me go see if the Bitcoin death chart got another update.
Yeah, Tapin. I'm glad to talk about it. That's what we're here for. If I don't recognize your username, but Alex and I are here every Monday through Thursday, and when we're not on the show, we're mostly spending time in and around this space, working on different ways to incorporate the technology in meaningful ways into people's daily life experience, including our own. We're skeptical, but so far have been pretty impressed with the many use cases for a variety of crypto adjacent technologies. Let's see. Is it dead yet?
It has died again. The last time it died was on February 22nd, according to ECB. So you'll notice the publications are definitely slowing down, but if we zoom out a little bit, we're definitely slowing down. Bitcoin hasn't died quite as many times as it's been absolutely pushing.
This is the time I do wish we had like a friend who could filter call-ins and that we had a phone number so people could call in. I'd really like to talk to Tapin. I'd really like to know First of all, am I pronouncing your name correctly? And second of all, have you lost money on Bitcoin, or do you know someone who does? Because, Alex, I don't know about you, but a lot of the time, one of the most common reasons I hear people call crypto a scam or Bitcoin people or cult leaders or whatever is because they're so over invested, over leveraged, have been burned. You know,
Yeah.
if you're over leveraged, of course you're going to be out there being a cult leader, man. I don't have to be a cult leader. I'm not over leveraged, but you know what I'm
No,
talking about?
yeah, it's an unfortunately classic trope, and it's not to say anything negative towards the people that have experienced it, because I mean most of us have been in a position where we've lost money on this stuff before. But it's listen to the shillers, the kind of misinformed, bloviating pontificators. Put that on a t-shirt and make a poor financial decision, get hosed, call the entire industry a scam, when really all you did was get misled by an idiot. And that's really unfortunate because it will immediately and in some cases nearly irreparably damage somebody against an entire industry of pretty cool stuff.
The Tapin says, I just don't think you should bet against the US dollar. What do you say to that?
I would ask based on what? Because the US dollar demonstrates on a very regular basis that it is shaky and weak, and the only reason it is where it is because the might of the force backing it is scary.
Yeah. Do you think it's possible or likely that that might or force could be challenged or shift in the future year, 10 years, 100 years, 1,000 years?
Yeah, it's being challenged on a regular basis, but it's it's that's a hard beast to slay.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I mean, I will agree that betting against it is, risky, because it's going to take a lot to dethrone it, because all of the people who have a vested interest in it staying on top just so happen to also have most of the power, which is, I mean, now you kind of get into that like political sort of talk about it, right? But that's it's just a hard thing to wrestle away from the people who have all of the control and they have all of the money.
It's definitely hard, but I would push back, and I would say that most people who think it's so powerful and so strong have such a short perspective on history. Everybody thought Rome was so powerful. Everybody thought, Babylon was so powerful. Everybody thought for such a long time, it seemed, and then really time passed, and what was once a long time became a short time in long history, and seas covered mountains, and the people forgot their languages, and the sun carried on and on about its journey. But
Of course.
like, here we are, kind of thing. I
Right.
just don't think there's any empire that's going to last that long. And when I look at something like the dollar, which is propped up by a country, which is bound by geography, dependent on centralized leadership. I look at the innovation of something like, decentralized currency, not even necessarily Bitcoin, but Bitcoin is a great example. A network of just 10,000 members, but who exist all over the world, who don't necessarily need the internet to keep physically existing, but use it to communicate with each other, who don't rely on money that has to be printed, stored, could deteriorate over time. Like all these things that to me make the dollar really weak, and make the United States, as an example of like centralized power, really susceptible to being toppled. It would be really hard to raid Bitcoin or storm your army into a decentralized network and declare yourself king. It reminds me of the scene. I was just talking to somebody about this today. Have you ever seen Spartacus?
Oh, yes.
Listen, I have to ask that question because when people ask me that question, my answer is usually no. And I actually haven't seen the whole movie, but the scene I'm talking about, there's a very famous scene where Spartacus is in prison, and some folks with the Empire come to kill him, I think, and they say, "Which one of you is Spartacus?" And he's a hero for his resistance among his fellow people, to the point that one person says, I am Spartacus. And immediately someone else says, I am Spartacus. And pretty soon everyone is yelling, I am Spartacus. And they have no idea who Spartacus is. It's like that. Like, what are you going to do? Kill them all? I don't know. I think the dollar is weak. I think it has a lot of power in this moment now. And I'm grateful it does, because it makes it easy for me to buy milk at the grocery store. But I think better things are coming.
So I don't disagree. However, I do think that it's worth at least noting that it's really easy to look at it from that perspective when you compare it to something that has happened, in near ancient history.
Yeah.
And then zoom out and observe that entire scale. Everything is but a blink of an eye when we look at geological time, right? I mean, because by that same thing, if you break down the existence of the known universe and humanity's presence in it, it doesn't even register on the scale. We have basically been here for no time at all.
Yeah.
However, none of that means jack shit for the people who are right here on Earth right now, experiencing time at the rate that we all collectively experience it. So while I would agree completely that the dollar is, theoretically weak, because it is not, it's a need right now. It's not a want or a desire. It's the system that we have. It's a system that is propped up by a tremendous amount of power and a tremendous amount of violence. And I think that's just going to be super, super, super hard to topple, because to even get the means to topple it, you need to use it. There is no alternative. It's the same kind of idea when I hear the people who tell me about, the uprising in the United States, for example, or some sort of civil war and the militias, and this is why they exist or whatever. And I'm like, you've never seen an Apache helicopter. It's the same kind of idea. Yes, theoretically, I agree that is kind of the point. But for example, nothing is going to shift. Nothing even has the potential to shift until people collectively, on a large scale, larger than it does right now by a lot, look at Bitcoin as anything more than a vehicle to just get more US dollars. I made that video 3 years ago, which was the only ingredient that you need for crypto to have adoption is for people to stop buying it exclusively to get more dollars instead of the other way around.
Yeah.
People would be trying to get more dollars so that they can quickly turn it into as much Bitcoin as they can, for example. There's definitely a group, and it is growing.
Sure.
But I think that the process that you are looking at, that you're imagining, that you're describing, well, I do agree with that. I just think it's going to take a really long time, unless some sort of catastrophic seismic shift were to happen that we just simply, couldn't predict.
Sure. And such an event would be so damaging for so many of the people, presumably. It could very well even wipe out any kind of such movement. It's so weird we're talking about this, because I think about this all the time with the abolish money. I haven't talked about it a lot publicly lately because I've been occupied with other conversations, but it's at the front of my mind. And with Crypto the Game lately, I want to give you a quick update because it comes along with this. So there's this character who has emerged in Crypto the Game who may or may not have existed at the start, called King Wilbert. And King Wilbert, aside from having a kind of a lame name.
Can I just interject really quick? I just want to point out to you, because I haven't had a chance to talk to you about this yet, but I figured you were going to talk about the game today. So I feel like you came back into it with when you were proposing to me your methodology for rejoining the game and buying back in. You were like, I recognize my mistake from the first time. And I was like, yeah, no, I think you're right. I think you presented as an intimidating figure. And you were like, yeah, no, totally different. I'm going to just skate below the radar and, then I'll reveal the mask. And I was like, the potential for the theatrics of that reveal might be the only thing that has the capability of motivating him to keep it quiet the whole time. But in my head, I was like, Evan has no chance of flying below the radar. And then sure as shit, basically the second that you bought back in again. You just walked right back into the middle of the room. You're like, I'm back, bitches. And then you were there. And then right away, you're back out again. And I just remember seeing that thing and like, yep, that checks out.
I can't play the game any other way, man. Or at least I couldn't this time. And the reason I couldn't is because I believe in the story too much. The story, man, the story is this is the story. You'll understand it when I tell you that King Wilbert, this story has emerged. First, it was these cabals, and there was some on-chain activity to verify that whales, to some degree, were coordinating. Some people had confirmation that Uniswap players were trading NFTs and playing together. There is a not confirmed but pretty well supported idea that maybe Uniswap players were coordinating to compete across tribes and would split the pot if one of them won. There was a pretty strong idea that this cabal had formed of other whales. And eventually this player calling themselves King Wilbert bought an ENS domain and used it as the wallet that a lot of these jury wallets started sending their NFTs to. Because for people who don't know, your player game piece is an NFT. It is represented by a token. You got to log into the Crypto the Game site. That's how you get access to your chats, to a lot of the challenge games. And it is, at the end of the game, used when a player is eliminated, that player NFT becomes a jury NFT. So like I have 2 NFTs that are jury NFTs. Go ahead.
Again, this is such a cool use of a blockchain, because just like the way that the records of how it's going are being kept and stored, I just think it's really neat. It's super geeky. Like it's horrifically nerdy.
It's horrifically nerdy.
But it is really cool to think that, you know, that as one of the aspects of like Web3 gaming that we don't talk about very often, in addition to being able to own your stuff and kind of the usual buzzy things that we talk about most often. I don't know if I did a narrative breakdown of real world assets yesterday, and I have the one of AI today, and then I'm filming gaming today too. And so that's like the one that you talk about. But this is a point that I put in the video, so it's cool that you mentioned it. It's just like, it's so cool to take that like immediately verifiable history of how the game has played and just like always have it. I just think that's exciting. Especially
and they're only going to build on it and get better about it over time, because I think it's waking a lot of people, even here, up to like the possibility. I couldn't agree with you more.
Do you know? So I know that you are more involved with it this time, and I don't mean to derail you.
No, you're okay. You're okay.
I know that you were aware of it last time that it played. Do you have like a finger on the pulse of like how much it's grown, or like what the differences are between the first?
In terms of like how much it's touched, like how big the story is, how many people care about it, or how the dynamics have evolved?
All of it. The scale, I guess the methodology of the. Is this the second one? Is this the second one?
Yeah, this is season 2. Season 1 happened at the start of the year, and the TLDR bullet points is there are about twice as many players, significantly more sponsors and sponsorship dollars. During the first game, I think they got their Twitter following up to like 1.7 thousand, but they never achieved trending status on Twitter. It was kind of under the radar. This time they've achieved trending status on Twitter, over 10,000 followers. Their sponsors are Uniswap, Base, Hoap, Worm. I mean, it's the who's who of the crypto space. They've been featured in Decrypt. They've got a Warpcast following, and everybody who's anybody is playing this game. I'm talking about Coinbase employees, A16Z employees, Uniswap employees, your founder down the street, OGs. It's evolved, and the dynamic has evolved too. They did not do NFT pieces the first time. And I think they're going to introduce maybe more, like Mishiste was saying, on-chain voting. The reason they didn't do on-chain voting is because they wanted people to be able to keep their votes anonymous. I suspect that they're going to partner with someone like Disco and make it possible to issue verified credentials for votes so that you can have full consent over who sees who you voted for or not. Like, it'll be on-chain, verified, but permissioned by the person who did it. So you'll have that kind of mix, which is also something really innovative that you could only do with blockchain, but doesn't have to be like 100% public ledger. So that's kind of where it is now.
Dude, straight up, if POAP is sponsoring Crypto the Game, POAP, what the hell? What the hell, man?
I know, and one of their co-founders was playing. I told you, I had a meeting with them last week, and I'm going to talk to her and be like, hey, we played a great game.
But don't you know the guy too? Haven't we spoken to the guy?
Yeah, Patricio. But
Mr.
Patricio,
Poapp?
he's not so involved, I don't think, in the sponsorship. And honestly, he strikes me as, I don't think he likes me. But I think he's the kind of guy that everybody who meets him feels like he doesn't like them. Does that make sense? Like he's cranky. Cantankerous.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
But also he may not like me. I don't know. He probably won't remember me. But yes.
That is funny.
What's what she's want me to talk about?
Tell me about whatever Adidas did.
Oh my God, Alex. Oh my God. Okay, so Adidas is like this hidden sponsor that they hadn't announced, and I think it was because they wanted. Yes.
Is this about to be one of those stories like with Porsche and their NFTs where we're just like, why wouldn't you just hire someone who has a brain?
Yes, 100% yes. And Adidas is already in. You remember like in 2021, they came out with some metaverse avatars. Like Adidas was there, Puma was, the Nazi brothers were there, and they were in the metaverse. And so they've done NFTs before. They're not
Puma. Holy shit, that was another one.
I know, right? So okay, so we get this awesome release that like surprise sponsor, it's Adidas. And everyone is like, holy shit, we have arrived. This is Crypto the Game going mainstream. Like, wow, we're celebrating with the team. We can't wait to see what the challenge is. And in pretty short order, they dropped this picture before the challenge is released of these like Squid Game style tracksuits that say like, Blue Tribe, Crypto the Game. Yellow Tribe. And we're like, oh shit, we're going to get to compete for like, real wearables. I wonder what it's going to be. Are we going to have to log the most steps? Are we going to have to, prove we wore a pair of Adidas shoes or, collect them, whatever. Like fun, cool puzzle games. We're all thinking about what it's going to be. And then the challenge drops.
I'm already crying a little bit inside.
You already know. So
there's so much potential and it's so easy. They could have done this so easily. I don't even know what they did.
The challenge is, gentlemen, start the bid. There is one NFT per tribe, meaning to represent each tribe's tracksuit. We aren't even told at this point if there's a physical tracksuit in existence. And anybody can vote on any NFT, okay? I can vote on a purple tribe. If a yellow player has the highest bid on the yellow tracksuit NFT, they get a special advantage. The highest bid overall wins immunity for their tribe. And so, let's begin. Can you believe it? And immediately, the backlash was quick and it was loud. And I have to tell you, as terrible as it was, good on them. It was great PR response. They owned it. They responded to it and they acknowledged exactly. Dylan said, this is not working. I hear you. We're so sorry. We really thought this would be fun for you. And like, do you even crypto, bro? Like one of our teammates had already bid on the jacket. They refunded the top bids. And they did apparently give tracksuits though to the people who were the top bidders. So I have a teammate on yellow who got our tracksuit. Good for him, Because my God.
It's put it on the list of companies that could do something so aggressively cool and then fumble the bag at the finish line because they probably didn't ask the right person to help them like shape it,
And I can only imagine the Crypto the Game people are not dumb. Like they're smart and they're plugged in. So I got to imagine there was a SVP in a meeting with them who was like, let us do it. And they were like, we don't think this will work, but we'll try it. And I pray to God that's what it was, because they have enough reputational capital that like the Crypto the Game community will forgive them. It was fine. We all got immunity that night. And
there's nothing wrong with it if you can own the mistake. It's just sad to have fumbled it.
It's so sad.
Like you remember the Porsche NFT?
But remind me and remind our folks watching, because that was a pretty epic fail if I remember too.
Here, let me. I'm sure there's all of us were tweeting about it when it happened. Let me pull up some stuff about it.
Why you do? Well, I don't want to get sidetracked back on the story bit, but remind me to come back to, we're talking about telling a better story here, and when, if ever, will it be possible? Remind me to come back to that. And in the meantime, if you're here, hello, welcome, thank you. If you're new, you're just watching the show for the first time, I want to invite you to sign up for the Rise Up Morning Show newsletter. It's at my bio, his bio. It's at the riseupmorningshow.com, and we've got a ton of other resources there for you too. It's a once weekly free newsletter with the best, briefest bullet points from our show. If you didn't hear me say it at the beginning, I am sorry. Crypto the Game and other things have kept me from sending it until probably 4 hours from now. So you're going to get one. You're not late. You're early. You can still get this week's newsletter with the best bullets from last week if you sign up now. We won't bug you. It's just value. And it's our gift to you. Also find our YouTube page there, our Discord community. Get in touch with us and join us again. We're here Monday through Thursday, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. Did you find it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. He said, oh, yeah. Should I prepare myself? Because I kind of forgot what they did. I put it behind the trauma.
No, there really wasn't much to it. It's just this one was more about how cool it could have been and should have been, because there are a lot of Porsche drivers, and Porsche is one of those cars that has, like an iconic image, an iconic following. Yeah. I know guys that have Porsches that are decades old that they still love, and you can look at a Porsche from any point in history up all the way up until today, and you instantly know what you're looking at. There was so much potential for what they could have done. There is an entire line. I own one of the John Sabal Porsche NFTs, which I just found out has like a 20-something soul floor. I had no idea. It is called, let's see here. So there's a thing in Porsche called RWB. It's like a custom shop, and it's like this one guy from Japan who builds these custom Porsches. Yeah. If you want him to make you one, you have to fly him to you with all of his stuff and his people, and then they sit there and they like build the Porsche for you, and it's ludicrously exclusive. There's so many things that they could have done, and all they did was make some crappy PFP type drop and sell it for 0.911 ETH. And
which at the time was a lot. That was almost
thousands of dollars.
Big time thousands.
So they pay gated it, thinking that, our cars are kind of expensive, so people are going to shell out for this thing. There was like a super limited supply collection. It was like, was it like 1,800 or NFTs or something like that?
They didn't sell like out. Another significant Porsche number.
Yeah, they didn't sell out. Everyone started freaking out. The floor was like way below mint, even when the mint was still live. And they ended up cutting the supply and like pulling the plug on the whole thing. It was an absolute it was a catastrophe. If you Google Porsche NFT, one of the first thing that comes up is the Decrypt article, how the Porsche NFT drop crashed and burned. It was just like, it was a stunning example of someone who just like thought they could walk into the NFT space and the Web3 space and just be like, yep, we're here to win, and we don't need to talk to anyone or consult with any experts or expand our marketing department or bring in any Web3 natives to consult or give some advice. Like, we're just going to sell them a really expensive picture of a Porsche. And they have purchased, they should have been like sending emails out to everyone who they know owns a Porsche and offering them a free one. And then,
there were a million
things where it was like the 911 versus the Boxster versus the, you could have had all of these different dueling drops and
could you imagine if they had like a click to race track, and you have a Boxster and I have a 911, and all we got to do is we get this cool digital collectible, we go to this website and we click to race each other or whatever, and I win and you lose, and I get a point for it. That's it. I just get a bragging right point. Like something dumb like that would have been cool.
Think about like Machiste's log a dog contest, right? Except like you're logging your odometer, and there's points for how many miles are on your Porsche, and there's points for upgrades that you've done or aftermarket stuff. There was so many things that they could have done that would have been cool and would have let them just exclusively, celebrate current existing Porsche drivers. And instead,
car culture.
They just tried. They pulled a Trump, and it was really sad. And they probably burned that chance for a very long time with anyone who's going to follow them or be interested in them. And the whole thing could have been avoided. They definitely didn't need the money. They could have done something cool and made way more than they did had they just done it right. But
just by way of segue back to, I will finish this script of the game point, and then we have a good question about portfolio. But by way of segue, that's the nailed it version. I love and will never pass up a chance to talk about one of my favorite automobile related NFT collections, and one of my favorite artists in blockchain. This is how you do it right. I want to show you really quickly Car by Shloms. This is an old collection. You can get it on the secondary market. It's just an art piece for sure. But here's the disclaimer. We're not affiliated with Lamborghini, etc. And I'm going to say I understand, or no, I think it is. I'll tell them I understand. But this is the gist of the video. Is it not going to let me do it? Okay. Well, no, I think it is. Oh, that's funny. I clicked I think it is, and it told me this. So Shloms took a Lamborghini Huracan to an undisclosed desert location, blew it up, and filmed its exquisite destruction. And then took photographs of all the different parts of this car. And I don't think they actually took the shrapnel from the car and photographed. I think they just, did a digital blueprint of the car, added some cool art to it, and then auctioned off the pieces as non-fungible tokens. It was so cool. Shloms also, I have to shout them out, did a really cool NFT drop that a bunch of people in our space were a part of recently during the eclipse. It was called Moonbeam. They got together to film the eclipse in Austin or Marfa, somewhere in Texas. You can check it out at Transient Labs. Great company doing cool, smart contract work. They took a bunch of pictures of the moon. They bounced messages off the moon with, I think, some sort of radar, sonar, whatever, from the path of totality. And then had an open mint where every minute you could mint a different frame that they captured of the eclipse. A total of 38,000 people minted these tokens. 720 unique frames own a moment of the eclipse. Fixed price, infinite memories. I mean, it was super cheap to mint. It was like, on base, $1 kind of thing. It was an awesome, cool, what a great way to commemorate the eclipse for people who care about tokens and want to prove that they were there and did a thing. Brands like Adidas have infinite opportunity to do that because people care about their story. And that's what I want to bring it back to. I'll wrap it up, my discussion of Crypto the Game, by saying there is a battle right now, just like there is with the people who would overcome the hegemony of the US dollar. A player has emerged. They have got the ENS domain name King Wilbert, and several of the whale wallets that we've been tracking have now sent their NFTs to this ENS domain. This player holds like 47 of the tokens of eliminated players that will have votes on the final day. 47 out of 800, you're like, no big deal, right? They're not going to win. But here's the kicker. The more people that go to the final vote, and right now they're going into the merge, like no more tribes, just one, and there's still like 230 people. We've got 2 days left before voting, and that's way more than we had last time. And last time there were dozens of finalists. So it's not unlikely that there will be almost 100 people vying for your vote at the end of the game. And all of them, for the most part, have made it this far by playing under the radar. Almost everybody who's played a big story, a public game.
Under the radar, you say, Evan.
Listen to me, though. But listen to me. Here's the kicker. Almost all of those 70 to 100 people has played under the radar. And so they might have a few friends in their tribe, but nobody knows who they are. Every story needs conflict. And a villain has emerged. King Wilbert has been vocal, has been public. They've got Google Docs. They've put out messages anonymously. And so everybody knows who they are. And nobody knows who any of these other players are. And because of that, unless one of these players is extremely public or tells an extremely good story, and I don't just mean stands up on the day of the final vote and says, I'm going to tell you a story, once upon a time, the beginning, the end. I mean, has a narrative with many touch points that people can latch onto, that they care about, then what's going to happen is, on the final day, everyone is going to say, vote for me, I played a good game, in 50 different shades of that flavor. And then Wilbert is going to say, you fools, and take the thing with 42 votes. And if anybody wants to win, this is what I'm telling you now. If you're playing Crypto the Game and you're listening to this, this is what you must do. You need to care less about the value of the dollar today and go for the big story vision. You don't have to play it super publicly like I did. There are surely more strategies than this. This is the only one I can see clearly. I could see one player and one player and one player, everyone just sticking their necks out and being willing to die. Wilbert can't kill all of you. You can't all be voted off. But everybody needs to use the leverage of that big story that Wilbert has created to create conflict that furthers the drama and makes your story bigger. Maybe 10 or 12 or 20 or 30 people can buy one NFT and play under the radar, and then at the very end they can do the, ha, it's 10 of us. You will not win, Wilbert. Like, that would be a way to capture the big story. Something like that. But Wilbert has the biggest story right now, and so Wilbert, if nothing changes, will win. And it kills me. The dollar, if nothing changes, will win. So change something, change the story, and we can all win together. It's that simple, people. That's all I got to say about it. I'm out. I'm over. I'm done. I'm eliminated. I'll be back. But that's it.
I'm just waiting for the reveal that you are King Wilbert.
God, wouldn't that be a great twist?
That'd be good.
No, man, I don't have that kind of ETH lying around. If I had that kind of ETH lying around, I would not be using this computer and this phone. That's for sure.
That's exactly what King Wilbert would say.
Alex, what do you think about this? By way of transition, someone asked us, looks like a new friend. They wanted us to review this portfolio. Specifically, the question is, do you think this bag is good diversity for holding long term? And here's what it is. Casper, $3,500. HBAR, $2,000. XLM, $3,500. Sandbox, and DAG. So the dollars don't matter, but they're all about the same. It's like 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. Casper, HBAR, XLM, Sandbox, DAG. It sounds like maybe those are their only tokens. And I don't know what they mean by long term, but let's talk about it. What are your initial reactions when you hear about it?
My initial reaction is I can tell you exactly who you follow on social media.
Me too.
And I think that you've been done dirty. That is not... So, okay. My disclaimer for my opinion is that this is the opinion of me, like a human on the internet, and it means exactly what you think it means. But the second I hear XLM, DAG, and HBAR all in the same category, that's not a diverse portfolio. That's a mimic portfolio of a very specific individual, and a very specific individual's little network of people on TikTok. And I don't think I would not hold that. I don't want to like fudge your bags. And it's not to say that they might not pump. And like, but the garbage can make money too. I just know, I know exactly who you follow. I know exactly what they've told you about those projects. I know that DAG got a lot of attention because of some random theoretical Air Force association, which I can just tell you from like a lot of personal experience in the military that they're not. It's just not. They're just not.
The military is going to make their own blockchain. They probably
the military would absolutely make their own. Nothing with a near $1 trillion annual budget is going to just like piggyback on some weird thing made by some college kids. It's just not going to happen. So I don't personally enjoy that portfolio.
Alex, let me ask you another question about it. because you hit on the I can tell who you follow, and I can too. But what's the problem with, like, because we're just strangers on the internet, we're just influencers, and if we stop there, then it's just him taking one influencer's word over the other. So what's the problem generally that we're disavowing about following influencers? Why is that wrong, and what should you strive to do instead?
Because this is exactly how it goes. This is exactly the roadmap of following an influencer for a buy signal or for a portfolio recommendation. They make the recommendation. A lot of people buy into the recommendation and say that they understand the narrative and then go forward with it and start holding those things. There is a big pump that happens, almost always. That pump becomes validation for that influencer that they made the right call. And they then, even if they sold ages ago, because you don't know, they will then take that and use it for years, forever. And whenever someone confronts them on it, because they are all incapable of admitting that they made a mistake, and because they are all incapable of owning the fact that they made a bunch of buy recommendations that didn't go well long term, they will continue to die on that hill, even though they probably don't hold the thing anymore. And they will do that forever. So all that they've done now is create a bunch of bag holders who went through an entire cycle and who are now desperately clinging to that person to tell them that they made the right decision and wait for the cycle to come by again. I strongly recommend that if that is the way that you approach the industry, and that's the way that you buy things, and that's the way that you convince yourself to continue to hold them, that's the way that you make yourself feel better for not selling them at a profit or for whatever, like, you're gonna get hosed every time that you do it that way. Because, and I don't like saying it like this because it really sounds like I'm targeting the specific individual who like put this forward or said that this is their portfolio or who did this. That the video I just put up about like my biggest losses, I did the exact same thing. My first go around and into my second, did the exact same thing. You have to have a good understanding of what you're buying. Otherwise, you're not going to know when something happens that is a good reason to get rid of it. And it's just a really bad way to manage a portfolio, especially with these weird, like super niche cryptos like Casper.
Yeah.
And like DAG, which isn't even a blockchain. It was like that was a narrative, DAGs. Which, forgive me, I'm actually forgetting.
Yeah, I don't remember what the acronym stands for, but it's I can look it up. Hang on. DAG acronym. Data. Direct. Oh, I don't think this is right. Is it? Directed acyclic graph is a conceptual representation. Okay.
That's it. Yeah, basically, it's an alternate method of chaining the equivalent of blocks together. If there's a developer in the chat who can maybe help me out and not fudge this so much. There's a way that like the linear progression of data storage on a blockchain works, where block happens, change the next block happens, change the next block happens. And then there was the whole DAG thing, which was an attempt to fix the scalability issue in so much as to say that they wanted to make blockchains do the same thing but go faster. And so they tried
almost like a sharding or a
yes.
Yeah,
they like organized the data in a little bit of a different way to make transactions happen faster, to make more stuff happen at once. It's technically not a true blockchain, and it was a very trendy narrative last bull run. And DAG is one of the ones that got a ton of attention because they had a theoretical partnership with the U.S. Air Force, and the influencer who I'm referring to pushed the ever-living shit out of it for a long time. And never really abandoned it. So I'm sure if confronted, they would double down on that, even though they sold it a long time ago. That's my suspicion.
Okay, so my TLDR takeaways from this, tell me if I'm putting words in your mouth. Don't listen to influencers. And you need more diversification.
Yeah.
And I would say, it's not a bad idea if like that's your portfolio. It's never a bad idea to start with something like Bitcoin. to start with different kinds of things that, while we don't have a lot of data historically, have been around for a long time. Start with stuff that has, proved its value or use. And when you say long term, like, I would never, Alex, be married. Robbie said this in the comments, and we talk about this all the time. Don't ever be married to something that is not performing. Know how to move your money, and be not like the person who is reading the newspaper about which horse to bet on. Go to the racetrack, man. Better yet, get involved. Raise a horse yourself. It's not for everybody to like come here and work in blockchain. But one of the things Alex and I are really trying to do with this show is help you move from like, I'm getting my information on TikTok from people who are getting their information somewhere else, to getting closer to the primary sources. Last week on our show, we talked a lot about where is the attention in crypto right now. We talked about a lot of the new decentralized socials that the people at one of the reasons I'm playing crypto the game is because like, why would I go to TikTok and hope that somebody is going to make a post about what people at Coinbase are doing when I could just go play crypto the game and meet 20 more people at Coinbase and call them now anytime. You know what I'm saying? I met somebody who works with Chris Dixon. I am going to be friends with that guy, whether he knows it or not, darn it, eventually. You can build proximity to these people because of the internet. Yes. You can go where they are and hang out with them and get in their comments and hear from them directly. And then that time you're spending, if you spend an hour a day listening to influencers on a live, asking them which token should I buy and why, you can spend that same hour every day going on Warpcast and being a reply guy in Jesse Pollock's comments. He is the #1 employee at Base, former Coinbase. You can go, the list is honestly limitless.
I spent like 3 days on Warpcast trying, and I got a reply from Jeannie. I got a reply. I got degen sent to me by the dude. I talked to Barry more than once, who's one of the original founders of Neopets, which was insane.
Childhood dream, right?
I had a small back and forth with Blau, who's a DJ I've been listening to for ages, and he
Is it pronounced Blau? I always said 3Lau.
Oh, Evan. No, it's Blau.
Dude, he was in my tribe together. We were hanging out and talking, and then we got killed together. So we're like buddies now. He invited me to come to his pool house in Las Vegas, so we're going, dude.
Okay, tell him I'm so down. I'm a huge fan. He's one whose replies I have been in on Warpcast because Blau is awesome, and Blau is a solid Web3 native. Blau is the man.
I'm gonna tell him today. I'm gonna be like, hey, 3Lau, I totally thought that was your name, and I just learned your name was Blau. I'm sorry.
Evan, it is also pronounced Dead Mouse.
That's Dead Mouse?
No. I'm saying Dead Mouse is not Dead Mouse 5.
Oh, it's not Dead Mouse 5? Yeah.
Okay.
I did think that for a minute too, honestly.
I got a reply from Dan Romero, who is the guy who started Warpcast. Like, it's really cool. Wait, I don't want to go too far away because Modernistic was asking about rebalancing. So I am not going to give you a specific crypto to go buy because that's exactly what I'm talking shit about right now. However, what I will tell you is that the strategy that I use to pick where I'm going to put my attention is, instead of following like a specific trending narrative, because those things are like meme coins, the second one comes along that like, oh no, this is it. Oh no, this is it. Then the narrative that you bought into is gone, and it has almost no chance of coming back because it's already had its time. So instead, what I do is the things that I intake from social media are to look at all of like the projects that are coming out, like follow, upcoming Web3 related projects, like this new staking protocol that's being built, this new NFT collection, this new game that's launching, whatever. And just try to track the trend about what blockchain and what ecosystem they're building on. And then that's where I look. So right now, I am most interested in Solana and Avalanche. Avalanche, not even just because I like the token AVAX, but because there's a lot of games coming out. And if you want to like get super into the weeds with those games, they're built on Avalanche. You're going to have some AVAX. So it's like, I think about the things that I would want to do as a consumer of the product, the game, the staking protocol, the meme coin gambling, whatever it is. and then ask myself, what do I have to buy to participate in this? So if Solana meme coin season is ripping, and if it has another time, and we're coming up on the patch for the congestion issues, so Solana's already back up today, right? I would look at buying Solana there because I need it to do the thing. And that's not to say that I'm going to buy it and then go gamble it all on shitcoins, but I know that the people who do want to take another stab at the meme coin casino and recoup all of their losses and they're going to go buy Solana to do that, right? So Solana itself, in this example, is not a narrative, but a narrative can take place on Solana and then it can die and another narrative could take their place. Like, for example, meme coins could pump the demand for Solana, and then Avalanche Gaming could pump the need for Avalanche to be bought. And then Solana could look and see, oh my God, look at how much volume Avalanche is getting because of gaming. Let's start incentivizing and giving grants to more games to be built over here on Solana. And now they're competing. And now a new narrative has taken place, but you're still in the same ecosystem because they're still trying to stay relevant. So think about what's being built and who's building it. And does it actually have any appeal? And does it actually look like it's going to be fun? Does it actually look like users are going to do it? Whatever. And then focus on those ecosystems. DAG has nothing going for it at all, except for the fact that it was in a narrative at one point, and now it's not, and it's probably never going to come back. And the same thing could be said about all the other. XLM is the exception there because it's one of the conspiracy theory coins.
I was going to say, despite the fact that it's like an interesting tech and ecosystem, their audience is tough.
Yeah, so that's another thing that can give support long term to a blockchain is just having, like, it sounds bad to say, but like a really diehard batch of maximalists who like will never admit that they were wrong about it. That will probably cause it to at least have a run. But I would seriously look to like exit something like that if that's the only thing propping it up. Just because I have never heard about anything being built with XLM. I've never heard about it. It's just one of the coins that's always tangentially mentioned in the XRP conversation. You know, it just doesn't. That's why it matters. It matters because XRP holders also accept this one, and that's it. That's the only thing it has going for it.
Okay, so that was a fantastic question and discussion. I feel well met on it, and I think we gave the last thing I wanted to be a good steward of was they asked us which platform. Alex and I are having a contest. There are several decentralized social media you can try. Sam in the comments below was saying she likes Orb on Lens Protocol. Hey is also on Lens Protocol. There's Dracula with a K, which is a TikTok clone. All of this stuff, it's going to be in our newsletter later today. How do you get the newsletter? It's free, comes once a week, super brief, bullet points, best value from our show. Come to my profile, come to his profile, or go to theriseupmorningshow.com and you can bop in your information, get the newsletter real quick. However, the platform that is the most active right now, gets the most attention, and I think is probably your best bet to build proximity with the folks you want to talk to, is Warpcast. And it's built on Farcaster. And Alex and I both have referral links in our bio, and we're having a contest. Who can get the most? And I think I'm winning right now. So you might have to go give him a referral. If you want to join, click the link in Alex's bio. This one's free, Alex. And it doesn't cost you anything extra. There is eventually a one-time fee if you want to use Warpcast that pays for like all your gas forever. It's like $10, I think, maybe 7. I don't remember, 11, something like that. You don't have to pay it right away. And using our referral link doesn't give us, any advantage. Doesn't cost you anything extra. We do get some like extra casts to send, which is helpful because someday we might like to start our Rise Up Morning Show channel on Warpcast. So that could be your part. Clicking our link. Go click Alex's link because, I want to beat him in a real competition. I don't just want him to die on the side of the road. We had another question from Ryan. This is the first one I saw, asking us about cryptonomy. I have it pulled up, but Alex, have you heard about it?
Which one?
Cryptonomy.finance. I had never heard of it either, and he said it sounded like a big APY. It's a regulated platform. And, I'm glad to just give you my first impression of it. I can't tell you if it's a platform necessarily that I would use, except to say, when I come to their website, looks like a template. Clear headline, but this is what I don't like. Could be my computer, but investing people image.
What is
And just
the
these like
what's
two
the
kind of,
URL? Let's find out.
it's cryptonomy.finance. By the way, this is my Orange Tribe chat with 3Lau, aka Blau. Oh my God, what a
The
nerd
good
I
news
am.
is, Evan, it is just your computer.
Okay, great. Oh, great. What do the other investing people look like? Are they just as happy?
Yes, it's a bunch of stock images of happy investors, I think is probably the way I would describe it. It's it's like Evan said, it is a very basic template website.
Trusted by people since. Love
Hear
it.
from experts. Brilliant. And here are the experts. Okay.
I feel like fully regulated. This website reminds me of something I like to tell people when they're giving a speech. Sometimes you'll hear people use a claim as proof. They'll stand in front of you and they'll say something like, "I am a great communicator." And language like that is redundant and useless. You never, if you are a great communicator, need to say, "I am a great communicator." You just prove to me that you are a great communicator. And I get that it's different with a website and like text-based medium. Fully regulated is something you'd want to say. But I wouldn't just want to say, "I'm fully regulated." I would want to say, "licensed and insured by X person, Z person, 3 person, FDIC, whatever. Is that kind of the impression you're getting, Alex?
Yeah, I haven't read this deeply at all. I mean, I get it. You have to sprinkle in the marketing terms for SEO purposes. The one thing that I will say so this is kind of like my first test on a new website before I even read it, is to just read the headlines on a quick scroll, understanding that is about the attention that the average person is going to give something. I mean, because statistically, for example, statistically, if a web page takes more than 3 seconds to load, you're probably going to lose the person looking at it. And so I usually give myself 15 seconds on the homepage and I kind of scroll. And if I do that scroll for 10 seconds down to the bottom and I don't know what the project does, I'm kind of done. And I will say that I've scrolled all the way to the bottom and I have absolutely no clue what this thing does.
They did ask specifically about staking, and as I go to the bottom of the website, I do see that there's a high APY claim staking up to 180% APY. When I click on it, I'm asked to sign up, and I see a see what you can earn calculator for Bitcoin specifically with contract categories, and it looks like you have to drop to earn, increments of 12,000, 50,000, 250,000, or 500,000. And it looks like the APY is, pretty good, but I don't know. I feel like it's probably not better than you could get anywhere else necessarily. Mm-hmm. And just looking at this website, it's a centralized custodian. Evan, I would rather personally use something like Uniswap or Lido, where I'm just paying a validator. And I would rather send my dad or my grandma to something like Coinbase that I'm more familiar with. I would give these guys a try, but I wouldn't want to be the person who used this platform first and found out it was broken. You know what I mean? That's kind of the impression I'm getting.
Yeah.
And there are lots of places you can get good yield. And honestly, if you're looking for Ponzi-nomics high yield and you're in the space, this is, most people listening, this is not for you. But it could be if you, walk around and learn. Most people will want to use a decentralized exchange for that and would probably look at, I don't know, what was Joe or whoever doing last time, Michael. They were buying exchange tokens and staking those. And that was probably the best bet. But it was a short-term thing. This is not a long-term thing.
Here's the other. You can also go get information about this from a place that's not Cryptonomy. So, for example, there's a website called Trustpilot. I'm not familiar with it, but it appears to be some sort of like community reviews platform for businesses.
Trustpilot, is that what you said? Yeah.
Trustpilot.
Yeah. I've used them. They're kind of like Angie's List.
So Cryptonomy has an average 3-star rating.
Out of 5?
Half of their reviews are 5-star, and the other half are 1-star.
Good to know.
The top review, the first one that I saw, is interesting because, and let me scan it before I say something wrong here, because it looks to be like, a decently written negative review that includes stuff like they've updated their website from the old one, but if you Google this, you can see how they photoshopped this and that. If you use Wayback Machine, which is like the history book of the internet, you know how they say, once you put something on the internet, it's there forever. Wayback Machine is where you see the stuff that someone has already deleted.
I love it.
You can see under the team that they clearly have AI generated people. Other photos are taken from other sources, but you can reverse image search all kinds of stuff from their website, and you can find that they've seemed to use Photoshop to change the colors of stuff and hide where they actually got the picture from. Blah, blah, blah. There's a whole bunch of stuff. Anyway, Cryptonomy replied and said that they have carefully reviewed the feedback, and they consider this review to be spam and hate speech. There is no hate speech or spam anywhere in this particular review. It's just not a good review. So that's, they're complaining about being hated on. This is just, this is one. This is a single review.
That's a flag for me.
The next one is also a 1-star, and it's about the high APR being used to lure people in. There's another one.
What does it say? So lure people in and then they don't pay it?
Yeah, this one I'm not quite as sold on because it's kind of a weirdly written review. Found this company from some influencer, used their link to sign up. Can't withdraw, but it also looks like they may have locked up stuff. The customer support sent them a link to withdraw, and then the website gave them a 404 error when they used that link.
Real quick, I just want to speak to someone who's having trouble accessing the Discord. Our Discord link, if you're having difficulty from either of our profiles, you can type it in. It's just discord.gg/the-many. Like the many and the few, the many. We are the Faceless Many. The Many. Discord.gg/the-many. You should be able to get right there from that. If you still have trouble, send me a message. Dimples. What a cute name. I bet your dimples are lovely. Yeah, I don't think we need to spend more time on Cryptonomy. I feel like our opinion won't change. And hopefully, Ryan, like you see what we mean. Like, we're not trying to pick on it. But enough yellow flags that there are other green flagging things worth your attention. Go play crypto the game. I met a guy who's building a website that looks like this. It's another DeFi protocol called Pistachio Finance. I can't wait to look at that. What a cute name, Pistachio. I hope they have minty branding. So this kind of stuff is everywhere all the time, and chances are, the next person is building it, just as good, maybe better than the people who've already built it. So I think the best thing you can do is get a lot of reps in, looking at websites like this, checking out different projects, and eventually you're really going to start to get a better taste for what is right for me. Because what's right for Alex or for me is going to be totally different. Someone was asking, like, what are your low cap picks? My low cap portfolio would look way different than anybody else's. We were talking about this in the Discord. I'm really into those, like, what are increasingly becoming called scene coins, which is a meme coin that is, built around a platform that is distributed through tips, like Degen is on Farcaster. I think there are a lot of challenges with those tokens because usually the allocation, the privilege to tip, and an allowance is given to power users, insiders, people who are already wealthy, either in capital or social capital, time capital, whatever. And then who naturally gets the allocation is the people who are closest to them. And then somebody like Tori, who's new to Warpcast, or somebody like Alex or me, who's newer to Warpcast, and who's trying to be active, but maybe who doesn't have the relationships yet, it'll take longer for us to catch up. People will give us smaller tips because there'll be folks at the fringes. So systems like that, they reduce some barriers to access, but they invent others. And I'm interested in them and think they have potential. But, as a speculative investment, though, as a low cap, as a technology, as an interesting way to distribute currency and social rewards, I think it's worth looking into. And it's certainly a low cap in terms of people don't, largely, outside of this room and a few others, they're not talking about it, Alex, do you see anything interesting on Polygon lately? Unnecessarily Crypto wanted to know. The most interesting thing I've seen on Polygon lately, because I haven't looked a ton, I said that was a good question, was honestly somebody in Crypto the Game worked at Polygon, and I made a mental note like, oh, you should follow up with them after the game. You can get some of that sweet Polygon sponsorship money.
I don't really, but I would be lying if I said that I was like following it closely, just because I'm kind of, one thing that I recognized after my first bull run is that I tried to be interested in too many things and it just made me miss stuff. So I accepted that I couldn't pay attention to everything and that I was going to miss the boat on all of this stuff because, I was going to focus on this. And right now I'm focusing on Solana because of how much stuff is being worked on and built over there. And then it's also just super interesting to me how, despite all of its issues, right, like builders are still migrating there. Mm-hmm. And the saga is really interesting. And even though they are like facing a bunch of hurdles and a bunch of problems on Solana, they're like consistently trying new things and like trying to, run forward and break stuff. And I just think that seems to be working, because we've seen the alternate play out, and that's like the Cardano methodology, and it's not working. So all of my like energy to read new stuff has gone to Solana, and then I'm super interested in Web3 gaming, and Avalanche and Ronin seem to be like two of the big ones that are the most set up to do that well, with Avalanche leading the pack. So like the rest of my focus is over there, waiting for games to come out, because you bet your ass I'm going to be playing as many of them as I can. And there's a bunch that are already out that I'm already behind on. So like just those two things is like too much for me to keep up on. So I'm not aware of stuff on Polygon right now, but that is exclusively my fault. I'm sure that there are things being worked on Polygon that are good.
Here's an interesting update for it too. In February, they laid off 60 employees, which is about 19% of its staff. So they've got about 500 employees as per February, but it didn't seem terribly bearish because the CEO said that their growth in the last bull diluted the qualities they wanted, their ability to work together well. We need to move ambitiously and nimble. We can collaborate more effectively as a smaller team. And he said they also gave a 15% pay increase to remaining employees. They gave 2 months severance, health benefits to people where they could. So like mixed news for them. I would be interested to get an insider's perspective on it though, and can reach out to, I'm sure, honestly, we have a couple friends probably who are close to it. L2s are a hot, hard place to be right now. They're flashy, and right now base is the sexy one. Everybody wants to be building on base, and I don't blame them.
Yep.
That's Angel brought us that one last that I initially dismissed, but sounded like they had a strong launch strategy too, because they got a lot of attention. But will it last?
Yep. Yeah, no, that's probably the best way to summarize why I'm not prioritizing Polygon focus more right now, is because I know what they are and I know what they do. And I know that base does basically the same thing. And that's where all of the attention is right now that I can see, because I'm not even like really tracking the base ecosystem, but it's just all over the place and it's like impossible not to see it. So at least for right now, the sun is shining on alternate Ethereum scaling solutions. And Polygon is sort of, a giant that has just been here for a while. People, that's another risk. Like, it's kind of a give and take. It's a double-edged sword that you have like an established project that's been around for more than one cycle and has proven that it has staying power and that it has longevity and that there are builders there and that it works and all of this stuff. But people also like have an idea of what they can expect from it. And so the new untested, uncharted territory thing can be way more attractive, especially in like the hype driven cycle of a bull market, a bull market. So for that reason, Base, Blast, whatever, are probably going to get a lot more attention, especially in the short term, than Polygon, just because I hate to say it, it's boring. We've seen it before. And people in crypto, especially, when the hype cycle is driving, they love the new car smell.
Yeah. And unnecessarily specifically mentioned Finn, but it sounds like that's they aspire to be a cross-chain gaming platform, but they use one token, Finn, on the Polygon network with, total supply, a lock supply. And it sounds like what I'm just gleaning from this is that this token is going to be used in the context of their ecosystem. You're going to be able to buy land in their metaverse nexus. You can purchase limited edition buddies, trading fees and rewards. Finn has a HODL program. And here's what I don't like about this. We talk about this a lot. This is a currency that they're asking you to use in their world, but it's also a currency that anybody, anywhere on any market can buy. And so they're going to increase it's an incentive that's competing. Speculate on this and use it to do stuff. And as long as those things are competing, they will both be hindered by the other. We've talked about this a lot on the show and in the newsletter too. You don't need to look far in the crypto space to see examples of where just having one token has really hurt people. You can't speculate on VeChain anymore because now everybody is using it to do a job. It's hard to speculate on Chainlink because everybody is using it to do a job. At first, there are a lot of tokens with utility that skyrocket, and they either crash and the companies die because they don't have any other way to make funding, or the prices stabilize, people start to use the token for its intended product purpose, and speculators lose interest. This is going to happen with every narrative token, every game token that's got its own token, every metaverse, every real world asset, every whatever that asks you to buy a token that you have to use. Did I hit it on the head, Alex?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%, absolutely. I'm going to steal everything you just said and make it a video later.
I mean, you say it all. I stole it all from you. We steal that conversation from each other regularly. Arcade, not that we want to like sell them to you, but that's one of the reasons I love talking to them and learning about what they're doing, because they're one of the few people I've seen that does like a 2-token model. And I don't know that I think it's perfect, but I think it's much better that they've got this like sort of stable currency that's kind of like your raffle ticket, your price of admission, tokens to spend doing stuff. And then they've got another token that you can use to speculate on the future value of the platform. They're working to decouple those things from each other. And I think that will be really successful, or at least more successful than this kind of thing. Yeah. I also, just as an aside, this Finn marketplace, I don't know. I'm not trying to bag on your investment. Hope they do well. Love them. Looks like they're funded, but I don't know. I get like wax vibes from them. Like, we've got our own metaverse. We've got our own game that kind of looks like this game, but it's not that game. And we have more games coming soon, but play this one for now. You know what I mean? There's a lot of that in like 2020, 2021 that just,
Yeah. I will say too, it's probably worth noting, if you haven't watched us before, that usually when, and I really hate to say it, I'm going to apologize ahead of time because I can already like feel myself cringing when I say this phrase. In lots of TikTok lives about crypto, you will ask like thoughts on whatever. And because they think it's the only way to keep a viewer, they'll just like look at the price and tell you some bullshit about how it looks like it's consolidating, but they're bullish. And that's like the review on everything.
It's like the magic 8-ball of TikTok crypto.
Yeah. Like I don't like to shit talk specific influencers, but one that I will happily rip on every single time I get the chance to is this guy, Crypto Bastard, because I just can't stand him.
I haven't even heard of this guy. What?
You've probably seen him. He's so obnoxious.
Where do
He's
they get these names, man?
I don't know. I think he started as like a bare naked crypto fanboy who like sort of made his name by just being the anti-influencer.
Suckling at the teat.
Because that was a trend for a while, just smack talk other influencers and call it a day, and how you're the promised one, you're the savior, blah blah blah. But every time I see that dude's live, that's all it is. Like I'll sit there and hate watch it for like 10 straight minutes because I can't look away, and it's just him reading a comment. It's like thoughts on whatever, and then he'll pull up the chart and he'll look at it and he'll be like, yeah, bullish, and then he'll go to the next one, and then he'll just just it makes me irate. But here, when people ask us about stuff, I feel like usually we say, no, I don't like it. Like almost every single time. No,
almost every single time we don't like it. Honestly, we're so catty, man.
I just don't like most stuff.
I mean, and a lot of the stuff that we really like, to be fair, is probably not the stuff that like short term or medium term is gonna.
Yeah.
I have no problem saying like this in the short term will probably be a great speculative investment. I don't hold it. That's like my answer a lot about a lot of stuff. The stuff we love is mostly not appealing to people because it's going to change the world in about 10 years.
It's horribly boring. Like, okay, here actually.
Like Covalent. Are you going to talk about Covalent?
Yeah, Covalent is a great one.
I think it's great, honestly.
Still love them. Spoken to the CEO multiple times. Probably a terrible investment. This is one of the ways that I look at things if I'm trying to determine like what I'm interested in. And so far, my track record is poor with these because they are all bad investments for the most part. You know how we mentioned earlier that like one of the reasons we didn't like DAG was because if the Air Force actually wanted a blockchain or a blockchain-like solution to something, they were just going to make one because they have lots of engineers, and because they deal in things with national security related topics and whatever, they're not going to just like throw all of that on some sort of public blockchain or whatever. And they probably wouldn't contract to a corporation. They would probably just make one in-house and use it for that. Well, I try to think about products that are exactly that. It's like, it's just a simple product, and it's just way easier for someone big to just use it. For example, there's a famous story in the Coast Guard because we use this tape, this very specialized tape, and we use it on everything on the aircraft. It's like a kind of squishy layer that's sort of like you put a seal between stuff, but it's also vibration resistant because it has this mesh like baked into the middle of the tape, and then it's got this gel layer on both sides, so you can use it in a helicopter where everything is vibrating really hard all the time. And it just does a better job. Nothing we've ever used has worked better than that. It was made by an ex-Coast Guard mechanic, and the dude has made $1 gajillion because the military just contracts with him for $1 squillion of this tape every single year. But it's so specialized, that tape. So I look for projects that are like that tape. And Covalent, for example, is one of those. That's probably a terrible investment because who knows if anyone's ever going to pick it up. But all it does is store data in a nice way. Or all it does is fetch data in a nice way. It's just like a little API.
Good way to say it.
Yeah, so that's all it does. It doesn't do anything cool. It's the token, who knows? I would probably be one of the first to say that I don't know that the Covalent token really needs to exist. They should probably just, enable credit card payments and send it live and make a bunch of money that way. But that's kind of the vibe. So, I don't know.
Okay. So I'm getting I'm trying to manage the chat down here, and I realize we've got a lot of questions. And the first thing I have to ask is, for people who said we should make this a podcast, I do want to say to you, Alex, I need to follow up with Michael if there's a way to just send our lives to Podcrafter and get it to download. And because would it be hard for people listening to I think people might enjoy listening to this better than they enjoy watching it retroactively on YouTube. But
Probably.
These replays are available on YouTube, and maybe we could figure out a way to stream them from YouTube to Spotify painlessly. In which case, I will work on it. Stay
Yeah.
tuned.
Would be-
But I don't know how it is. And I get it. It's nice to listen asynchronously. To everybody who listens regularly are folks like Tori, folks like Jim, who's like 3 a.m. there, Zane, I know it's late there. Thank you. If you have more ideas or suggestions for us, for the show, we're working on a lot of stuff to try and really make our content better, easier, more valuable. Please visit theriseupmorningshow.com. There is a form there where you can leave a suggestion, a question, a testimonial, and let us know what we can do to make this better. That's honestly the most helpful thing you can do for us. As well as, give the screen a little tap and send this to your nephew Carl, who's telling you to buy Dogecoin and take out a second mortgage. Like, that's probably helpful too. But that's the biggest thing you can do for us, and just being here is killer. So thank you. We had a question about Pika. Do you know anything about Pika?
That's one I've heard of. I don't know. I'm not read up on it at all.
I'm not read up on it. Has Mac talked about it? I feel like Mac has talked about it.
Maybe.
I don't know. I absolutely don't know.
Mac is prolific. He may very well have talked about it at one point.
The other question is that on Arcade to Earn, Ryan Brubaker sounded like had a problem with a mission pool there. I didn't know mission pools were live yet. I think that's great. But
there's a couple.
Okay.
But like, for example, today's the 15th, right?
Yeah, it sure is.
Yeah, today is the TGE for Arcade. So I imagine that there's probably some stuff that is going to like become more readily available after today. The tokens are being, TGE stands for Token Generation Event. So like all of the things that have happened, like today is the day that they make the tokens officially, and then start sending them. So
is there a little green man in there with like a little tiny hammer and some clay, just making tokens?
Dude, so he's working overtime today. That's for sure.
He's working so hard. And that's the other thing, Ryan. It's like right now, it's so early for their platform, and people are coming in hot. I would expect, one, a lot of stuff to break. Two, especially if it's like new mission pools are kind of a new experience. I would really try and, the impression I got from them is that they really want to make a good impression.
Yeah.
So if you're having trouble, definitely contact them, and always don't hesitate to like go slow. Maybe that would be a fun video to make. Maybe we can test out a mission pool or something. I know you have a couple of arcade tokens. I don't know. I tend to prefer making evergreen content, and most of our folks want to know, how do I set up my hardware wallet? But let us know if it's something you continue to have trouble with, and we know them now.
And Ryan, I didn't see this specific comment, but if you wanted to like send me the more specific issue that you're having, and it's just my fault, I just didn't see what you said, I can ask the team because I have that privilege.
We're in customer service now, huh?
Yeah, so let me know, and I can forward them the question if it's something specific.
Someone said maybe master the language before being condescending. I don't know if that was to us.
No, it is. This individual has come back and is now telling us to stop being clowns and just buy Chevron and Nvidia, and they're just upset. They're having a moment. So rather than kick out the person having a temper tantrum, I figure just let them tucker themselves out. I have to do the same thing with my 10-year-old.
I think it probably will boost our engagement. I bet they're a hit at parties. I think they just maybe had a bad first impression. I'm sure they're a magnanimous person, and I welcome the feedback. I definitely am not a master at language, and probably won't be until I die. But I would like to be, and I'm a curious student about it. So thanks for the feedback. What do you think about real world assets? That was a question we had a minute ago. We've talked about it before on the show, and I want to know.
So the video that I posted yesterday where I'm dissecting the narrative has my pros and cons, but I have my notes still right here because I'm always looking at 19,000 open tabs.
My computer could never.
I know. So I broke it down into like one big pro and then one big con for RWA, real world assets. So for anyone who doesn't know, real world assets is one of those trending narratives in crypto. And all right, you are taking a lot longer. You're taking a lot longer to get tuckered out than I thought you were going to do, little buddy. So we're going to put you in the timeout chair for a minute. There we go. Sorry about that. Dude, sometimes toddlers just have way more energy than you're like emotionally ready for.
You're emotionally prepared for it?
Oh my God. And it's tough. I've gotten to the point multiple times where I'm just like, with mine, where I'm like, dude, please, I don't have the energy for a life lesson or a lecture or any kind of discipline right now. Can you please just give me a break? Can we resume in 10 minutes? Can you just entertain yourself for 10 minutes and then come back and see me?
My level 3 parenting tokens are expired.
Anyway.
So real world assets, you made a video.
Real world assets.
This is what you're saying.
Yeah. So the idea here is that you use tokenization, the ability that you are able to like put something on a blockchain and create a token to represent it, to lower the barrier to entry of a lot of other kinds of investments. And the easiest example is real estate. If you wanted to invest in real estate 20 years ago, you had to just go buy real estate. That was it. And maybe someone can help me. I don't know when like REITs became a thing. I don't know when the first one came to market. Maybe that was 20 years ago. I genuinely have no idea.
We'll find out.
Okay.
Somebody race me. I'm searching for it. You might beat my computer, honestly. It's like John Henry and the steam engine over here.
You could, if someone wants to beat Evan's computer speed, you could run down to the public library and get a book and read it faster and return it faster than Evan's computer.
And then, right. Use their computer to search it. 1960. U.S. REITs were established by Congress in 1960 to give all investors, especially small ones, access to income-producing real estate.
Very cool. Okay, so a lot longer ago than 20 years. However, I guess, maybe it's still a little bit harder to do. Whatever. My metaphor, my analogy is falling apart before my very eyes. But the point is that the idea with RWA is that you make it easier to invest in stuff that was previously harder to invest in. So if you wanted to buy commercial real estate, but you couldn't afford to buy a piece of that property, now theoretically you could go in on it with 100,000 other people, split the thing up and buy a couple dollars worth of it. And if 10 years go by and that building is now worth 3 times what it was then, you've made money. And that's kind of the idea.
Stock. You're not on the boards, but we're going to make our company more liquid, accelerate its growth. You can buy a piece of it.
I think that the idea of DAOs probably has a good tie-in with RWA, just because, I think that it's a cool idea that a group of people who all live in an apartment building that is, owned and controlled by like one old curmudgeon, could theoretically band together and like own their own building and all have shared responsibility for the building and, do whatever. However, so that's all cool. It's a really cool idea. I love the idea. I think the application makes sense. It's a very clear-cut directive for the narrative. There's a big problem with it, in my humble opinion, though, and that is regulatory uncertainty. There is a tremendous amount of red tape and legal murkiness and paperwork and licensing and insurance requirements and all of this kind of stuff to own property. So my example of like how this could go horribly wrong is that like someone has a liability claim or a liability suit against an apartment building where they got injured or something like that. And instead of having an owner that they can go after or sue, there are 48,000 holders of this apartment building's token. And none of them are carrying insurance and half of them are anonymous. And how the hell is anyone supposed to get a suit filed in that scenario? So right there, you would have to have like some sort of like centralized controlling authority that like holds the insurance policy or holds the licensing for that property or whatever. And then you'd go after them. But then of course, like that person would need skin in the game. So they probably have to own a lot of the token supply for that building. And there it is, like, it's just tough. And I don't think I'm not saying that this couldn't be solved. I just don't think we're anywhere close to having like a legal framework for real world assets to be anything more than like a speculation play because Larry Fink said he thinks it's cool. And I think that's why I'm a little hesitant on it. Like I get it, but right now there's no real framework for you to actually like own the building. You know, like you could go buy building token, but it doesn't really mean anything. It's like it's a theoretical, you know, how does Matthew McConaughey phrase it in Wolf of Wall Street?
Fugazi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a wazi, it's a woozy, it's a. So that's where we're at with RWA. I think it's just really new, but it is very exciting, and I'm like, it's one I'm watching. It's just not one I'm like willing to put a bunch of money into right now because I'm a little sketched out.
You know, that's everything you say is really interesting, and I honestly hadn't thought about it like that, the management perspective, but I feel like the natural answer, and to be clear, BlackRock has already established the Biddle Fund, which is a securitization of a variety of assets, totally regulated, totally compliant, already has, you know, close to $1 billion of funds that represent it's tokens that represent, you know, a basket of assets. It's an index fund, but make it tokens. The two things I want to say about that are, number one, companies like BlackRock who become the custodians, who take on the risk of owning the house and insuring it and doing that, they will charge you for that. And it might only come down to 1 or 2% of the bottom line because they got a lot of money, but it will be what we will see is the Walmartization of those kind of investment vehicles. Used to be you'd go to your farmer and get his radishes. Now you just go to Walmart. You go to Walmart. Walmart is everywhere. That's the solution. Eventually, instead of buying a house, you will lease a house or buy some tokens from BlackRock or from the people who've taken the time to become, you know, it's funny because we're trying to do this stuff to get away from intermediaries, right? To get away from centralized power. But in many ways, we're going to kind of recreate the wheel, and our technology is going to, you know, serve a new master and make them stronger. It's going to be really interesting. And the second thing I guess I'd say about it is, I forgot what the second thing was, but you know, that's enough. That's enough to be going on. I really like thinking about that though, Alex, because that will be a big problem.
I hate to say it just because, you know, I'm a big believer in the idea of something being decentralized. I just also try to be a little bit of a realist and recognize that like right now you simply can't just dismantle a system like the one that we are a part of overnight and then replace it with something completely new. And the only way that that's ever going to happen is if like some small group of what we would right now call radicals just takes a stab and starts, you know, living that way. And even though all of us like daydream about it, the second we would see a group of those people online, we'd call them like hippies in a cult in a weird commune in the woods. And we're just so inherently trained to think that that's stupid. Yeah. That even though it's what we're all asking for, you know, it's a little bit out of reach, you know, I think until more stuff comes to fruition. So RWA just seems like that to me, you know, where like the idea is crystal clear. It's one of the easiest to understand narratives, I think. There is just like a couple really gargantuan hurdles standing in front of it and real adoption. And I think that, like you just said, Evan, I think the middle ground is just going to be that we'd have to trust a custodian. And I don't even necessarily think that there's anything necessarily wrong with that. You know, if it offers a different product or a service, maybe that is the first step. Maybe that is the first stepping stone, you know, on a walkway to decentralized, you know, real estate tokenized ownership or whatever it is. You know, it's okay. I think that's a uniquely human perspective, that like a solution or something is not worth chasing after because we're not going to get it perfect on draft one. So why bother? And I don't say this to start a conversation or start a debate or choose a side or do whatever, but like gun control, that's one of the reasons it never moves forward or never moves anywhere, because no one can propose like a first step that would solve all the problems. and too many people are not willing to do anything unless they could like guarantee that it solves all the problems, which just means that the whole debate stalls. And you could apply that to basically any hot button political issue, right? But blockchain is no different. We can't go from where we are now to pure decentralization in one step. So we have to be willing to like take a bunch of little baby steps and like accept something, but the crypto maxis will immediately decry something like Coinbase as not real crypto because you don't own the keys. Where, I'm trying to sit here and say like, no, right, you don't, but like you can withdraw the keys. So like, can we not just agree that it's a great first step, and kind of walk ourselves there that way and like be excited about this right now? So I'm excited to see like some middle ground with real world assets. And I think that, I don't know, there was just a headline today that a huge German bank, LBW, is offering crypto custody solutions. And I think that's an example of like a cool baby step. Like it is a bank, but if they're going to offer to protect your keys to your crypto and you've already trusted them with your money for your entire life, why would you suddenly not trust them with the keys to your crypto? Like that just doesn't make any sense to me. So maybe accept it as the baby step that it is instead of, poo-pooing it like all of the maxis are going to.
I have to interrupt this broadcast to tell you that I'm typing a message to 3Lau, aka Blau, right now to say thank you. He said GG, good game. I said GG and thank you for the music. He made the music for Crypto the Game. I bookmarked and will continue to support. Also, I'm sorry. Until today, when my co-founder, a big fan, told me, I didn't know your name was Blau. I thought it was, in quotes, the number 3 spelled out Lau. LOL. Love you. So I've outed myself as a total caveman who doesn't understand anything about culture. But I made you look good, brother. I let him know you had his back.
Thank you.
You're welcome, man. It's such a worthy problem to solve, though, and it's like hard. But Tori mentions the behemoths like Warner Brothers. Can you imagine when we do this with insurance? Like, it would be great if people could choose. Like, I don't know, Alex, if you wanted to take your Airstream on the road, if I had an opportunity to like buy into covering the insurance for it. I know you personally. I think you're probably a very safe driver. You know what I mean? That would be an interesting type of investment vehicle that we don't think of as an investment vehicle, but that also would be like a way to support each other,
No, I agree.
Not have to pay $1 bajillion trillion to an insurance company like Geico.
No, I think that's the cool part about, like you always say, giving the intangible a more tangible form. I think it's cool. You can just pick literally whatever you want that you'd like to own a piece of and create a token in commemoration of it, and boom, there you go. It's a neat little solution that we're having trouble accepting just because, if you can't see the path to a 10x, then it's not interesting right now, which is okay. It's a baby industry. Someone told me the other day, because I made the claim in a video that the industry is really new and we just don't have a lot of data. And he's like, it's not new at all. It's 10 years old. And I was like, bro, listen to yourself. Like 10 years is nothing. How old is the stock market?
Again, when people talk about the dollar or the United States of America, they're like, it's 300 years old. I'm like, wow, here's the rope of time, and here's the United States. Yeah.
No, I think what did I read the other day? I'm probably going to get this wrong, but you'll get my point. It was like more time separated. Was it ancient Egypt and ancient Rome then separates, whatever from right now?
Yeah.
And I was just like, yeah, dude, we are but a blink of an eye in geological time. So everything else is, that's to your earlier point. Doesn't mean anything for those of us living it in real time, but
But a wafer on the table of life.
Yeah.
Okay, we missed a couple of questions. And I do want to get to them. And then I feel like we should probably kind of start winding things down. We're getting to that point. I need to finish our newsletter. So let me see. What did I miss? We had a question from somebody about a low cap altcoin, and we also had a question about trading that I wanted to address. Someone said, "Can you teach me how to trade?" Or "Is this a place? Is there a place?" And if what you're saying is like, there are a couple of things. How do I turn cash into crypto? and crypto back into cash or into other cryptos, swap it or bridge it. If you're like, what, huh, that's definitely, you're in the right place for that.
Yeah.
We talk about that kind of stuff in this channel all the time and are increasingly adding to it a list of permanent resources on YouTube and other places that answer those kind of questions for people at all levels of experience who really just want to understand, how do I actually trade money for crypto? If that's you, let me know. And if what you're asking is, how do I become more sophisticated at analyzing and timing the buying and selling of a particular asset, then that's really not our forte. We would probably, don't let me speak for you, Alex, but off the top of my head, the best person I know is Magic Internet Money that we had on the show a couple weeks back. There's an episode on YouTube. If you search Rise Up Magic Internet Money on YouTube, or just go to our profile, Faceless Labs, and scroll around a little bit in the Rise Up Morning Show playlist. You'll find our episode with him. And he's got his own YouTube channel where he does a lot of trading education, totally free. Magic Internet Money, if that's what you want to learn. But otherwise, we're going to be here Monday through Thursday for the foreseeable future live. We've got a free newsletter you can sign up for at the link in our bio. And there's a form there where you can leave questions. You can leave questions in our comments. We are working diligently to get to them and to create an evergreen list of the most common questions we get that we can just answer and point people to, maybe in a free course. So let us know what your question there is. But Magic Internet Money, if you want to learn sophisticated trading of assets. And right here, if you want to learn how to buy and sell crypto, I would recommend, frankly, starting with something like Coinbase and starting with an amount like $10 and a currency like Bitcoin, or what we call a stable coin, a token like USDC or UST. These are worth $1 all the time. You don't have to gamble. You don't have to speculate. You shouldn't until you know how to swap and move your money around. Not hard, but you need to learn it first.
All right. So, Jimothy, just because it's a fast answer, sandwich bots are basically like, it's a specific kind of bot that you use to prey on people who use too much slippage. And he asked if they're unethical. I've never considered it like that before. I mean, anybody can really download one and use one if you want to. I wouldn't call them unethical. It's just like, it's something you got to be aware of. You could make the claim that the places where they're used in meme coins are unethical to begin with if you really wanted to. So I don't think I would call them unethical. It's just definitely something you got to be aware of.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it like that either, but it's not fun to get caught in a sandwich bot. I'd rather talk about real world assets. I'd rather talk about real world sandwiches. Oh my gosh. Know any good places to download a reasonable one? Oh, a reasonable sandwich bot? Oh, I love me some sandwiches. I'm not clear on what he says. And in terms of like, somebody asked about did they answer about like how long what their long term is? What's an altcoin? There are so many altcoins, and honestly, it's like we said earlier, don't just pick one your favorite influencer likes. We're all going to like different stuff. We're all going to tell you something different. And the best thing you can do is hear from a lot of people building cool tech, and then spend a little time checking it out yourself with the skills your best teachers have shared with you to make you a more efficient researcher. The question you should ask is this right for me? I would say traditionally, any good altcoin is a token that is tied to a company that has attention, that is building something, whether it's a team of people, an idea, a product that others care about, that is newer than Bitcoin. And if it's got something sexy attached to it, great. If you're expecting it to go up in value, it definitely needs that kind of a narrative. And if it's something like Covalent, or another unsexy but important type of altcoin, then be prepared to hold it for a long time before people catch on, if they ever do.
So, operating tenor, you're asking about the best low-cost altcoin investment with the highest return in the shortest amount of time.
I appreciate the conciseness of that. That was helpful.
What you are describing is something that if I knew the answer to, I would probably not be here right now.
Everybody wants to know that, baby.
Yeah, literally everyone wants to know that. And I'm not trying to pick on you, but like nobody actually knows the answer to that question. So I couldn't possibly give you an answer. To say that right now, right? Like if stuff is really crashed, you can basically throw the dart at anything on the board and the market is going to recover at some point. So like it's going to go up again
I
at
mean,
some
remember when
point.
Solana was $8?
Yeah. So
You know,
I really genuinely do wish that I could give you an answer to that question. I simply don't know. But I promise all of you that if I get a crypto crystal ball, I'll let all of you know, because that would be incredible. I would just be careful and understand, what it is that you're trying to do. Like I said, that's why I asked you what's your time frame and what's your risk tolerance, because of course you can, and if your time frame is really short, that automatically means that your risk tolerance has to be really high because anything can crash in the short term. So if you're like looking at a piece of money that you're going to need next week and you're like, I got to double it, just keep it. Don't buy anything. 100 straight up, 100% don't buy anything. Except whatever you actually need that money for. Don't buy any investments. So I couldn't say, unfortunately.
Unnecessarily Crypto says, I hear Bitcoin might have some potential. To which I respond, have you seen Bitcoins going to the moon? What happened to Pablo?
Dude, he's completely disappeared. I don't know.
Makes me so sad.
All right, DWR, just because you asked. So I don't have any particular beef with Bare Naked. He just blocks me pretty regularly. It's like part of his personality right now. And I do like to think that he learned his lesson because he made a video about me last bull run. And it was the single stupidest thing ever. And he did delete it. So I think he realized that he made a stupid little baby blunder. I think he's a toddler. He's an immature baby. And I understand that like he might give, good calls or something at some point, but like, here's my entire experience with him. He has very thin skin. His entire personality is shitting on other influencers and then sprinkling in some calls so that like his followers will gas him up and support him because I think he has incredibly low self-esteem. And he put that on blast. Literally the video of mine that he stitched was me. My video is still live, but it's from ages ago. You'd have to scroll forever. I made a video, I think, that was just like pointing out a couple things that were happening on chain in the news. And it was like some famous whale accounts in Bitcoin were like buying a shitload of it. And then I was like, I don't know what the prices are going to do. Nobody does. But I do know that whales don't like to lose. So, this is taken as a bullish indicator. And at the time, he was crying for a crash. So he was, as his name implies, very bearish. And he stitched me, calling me an idiot and telling me that I didn't know anything and that on-chain doesn't mean anything. And, I was like, that's really interesting from a crypto influencer that something being on-chain doesn't mean anything. And then rather than waiting for my reply to his 3-minute long temper tantrum complaining about me, in which he misspelled my name and misquoted me a lot and made up a bunch of shit, he just blocked me right away. And then he never replied to my like reach out to clear the air. Cause I was like, dude, we talk about like the same stuff. And I feel like if you pulled your head out of your ass for 5 minutes, we would probably be friends. But he's completely incapable of being a mature adult. And so I just don't have time for him. And nothing that he says is so earth shattering or groundbreaking that it's like worth me putting up with him being a crybaby. So I just don't like him because he's a whiny baby, and that's it.
He actually had a take a while ago. I saw that I thought was like he kind of dropped his whatever mask and was I don't remember what it was.
He has a lot of good takes.
But it was good.
That's exactly what I told him when I reached out. I was like, dude, actually pull your head out of your ass and watch my videos, and then let's talk because I think we'd be friends. We agree on basically everything. What are we doing here? Why am I the one that you're now targeting? There are so many people who you could use your platform to like expose. I was like reading you a news headline
Yeah. Yeah.
and making the assessment that I don't think rich people enjoy losing money. And I'm just like, what was the outlandish claim that you made there? And he just blocked me instead. So like he's a whiny little baby, and if he ever grows up, I'm here to be his friend. I don't have time. Like I said, I already have one whiny baby toddler boy who needs lots of correcting with his tantrums. So I don't have time to adopt a full-grown male.
Okay, listen. Oh my gosh, he's not a toddler, man. Okay, you asked again. Wayne Earls asked again. You may not have heard this, so I'm going to be much more concise this time. If you want to hear my long answer, the episode will be posted later to YouTube. If you want to learn to trade cash for crypto, that's very different than wanting to learn to sophisticatedly move crypto assets to time the buying and selling to make money. If you want to do the former, stick around, ask us. We can definitely help you do that. How to bridge assets, swap assets, turn it back into cash, which exchange is the cheapest, that kind of stuff. We love that. If you want to learn how to become a better trader who knows how to time the markets and when to buy and when to sell, you should look at other teachers. I would suggest Magic Internet Money. Free YouTube stuff, great content. Magic Internet Money. Somebody help him in the chat if he misses it, please. Thank you so much. And then what do you think about Calvin? Calvin Hill, the real one? Will the real Calvin Hill please stand up? First of all, anybody who has that many scammers should tell you a lot about their content. Calvin is a super salesperson. Make no mistake, his job on TikTok is not to teach you anything. It is to sell you everything he possibly can. I'm going to show you how I track my portfolio. And if you want to track your portfolio like this, you can buy this spreadsheet for just $1. It's a digital download, right? Nothing wrong with that. But like everything, I think he provides a lot of value to people. Honestly, I think Calvin is a good example of like in another life what we could be. We hope to monetize our channel, but we also hope to do it mostly from like other people and not you. You know, Calvin's product is you. You are who he is, you know, buying and selling with.
You know what's so funny is I get followed by 5 or 6 Calvin Hills every single day.
Every goddamn day.
And I've never had one of his videos come across my For You page.
Actually, I don't see him on my For You page either. I wonder if all he does is lives. Is that a thing? I feel like he might be one of those guys who's live only.
I've never had his live come across my feed either.
I have seen his live before, but it doesn't really get suggested to me. Unless they think I'm in a mood to hate watch, I guess. I don't hate him, but he's not your teacher. I don't know. He maybe gives some okay calls, but really, truly, what he's there to do is sell you a product.
It's funny because there's a lot of crypto content creators that have massive followings, and they never come up on my page, and I've always found that interesting because like I couldn't be harder in this niche, but like Crypto Network, he has a ton of I never see his stuff.
I don't even know who that is. Case in point.
If you saw him, you would know. He's a big one. He's verified. There's only a couple of them that are verified. I think Calvin Hill is verified, and I think Mason. I mean, I know Mason's verified.
Mason's verified, but Calvin's verified?
Oh. I don't know. I'm just guessing. I feel like I've seen that written down with the blue check before, but I don't know. Anyway, my point is, I've always thought it was interesting. I never see their stuff.
Well, you know, it happens. Crypto Mason is a shiller throwing a party. Rafa, 4 days. Yeah, Neil, we're gonna throw a halving party right here on the show. Honestly, though, we should plan. What's today? 4/15. So 16, 17, 18, 19. Friday is the date. Maybe we'll go live for the Rise Up After Dark show on Friday, like we've done a couple times, and we can have like a halving party. Neil, generate some pizza for us. Send me a slice. We can whip up a collection real quick. Maybe make it quick click to claim POAP or something. That could be fun. I would do that. It's good to see you, Neil. It's good to see you.
Angelfish, welcome. Glad to have you.
And base meme coin season, Neil, you're late. I gotta tell you.
Yeah, dude. Neil, where have you been?
Where have you been, Neil? It's been
base memes for weeks.
But when Solana gets back up, my bet is when Solana gets back up, it's coming back. And honestly, what's driving the base meme coin is all the activity on, Farcaster, Warpcast, etc. Um, the drivers of this meme coin season are the people who are building meme coins and scene coins around decentralized social media apps. So if you want to be early, that's where you got to go. I got airdropped 1,000 bonsai, which is the token of orb, because Crypto the Game was sponsored by them, and we spent 8 hours on their godforsaken platform. I don't know what it's worth. I haven't even logged back in to claim it yet because I don't enjoy it that much.
Unnecessarily Crypto asks if we would consider mentioning the coins that approach me. Absolutely. I don't really get them anymore. So I've never actually, well, this is a problem. I've never answered anyone except for Big Time, and then they ghosted me. So that was sad because I was like, oh, finally one I think is cool. That was last bull cycle. The only ones that I ever received, I got a bunch from IOTA, and they were never from the team. They were from a bunch of whales that own most of it and just really wanted to pump the price. So they were really, really, really sketchy. And that was then the start of my beef with lots of influencers. Is I was like, dude, you guys know that we all got the email. Like, I know that you got paid for this video and you didn't acknowledge it. You just straight up broke the law. IOTA was one. ChainSwap, I know, is doing a lot of reach outs, but they haven't asked me, probably because, I'm not big enough. Also, if any of these actually audited my content before reaching out to me, they would know that I would say no, so they probably won't even waste their time asking.
I mean, read the room, dude.
Yeah.
I don't honestly. I mostly get approached by very small projects who are doing isolated things. Like Polygon is not knocking on my. They don't need me. I wish they did. They don't. Mostly it's and mostly they're blockchain adjacent. They're building a game that may or may not have a token one day. I get a lot of outreach from people who are like, bro, just found your channel. I want to launch a meme coin. I don't know how to do it. And I will sit with and talk to and teach anybody who wants to learn. Most of the time, I get surprised. It's a mixed bag of either this is not the thing, or this is a really good, so glad I got to find you. Which leads me to say, listen, if you are just an everyday person who needs some help with this, come hang out on the show. If you are Porsche and you got that corporate money and you don't want people to hate you after you try to sell an NFT, you can pay us. And it's not even going to be as much as you probably expect it to be, as the influencer down the street quoted you. And I swear to God, you will be so why would you pay Hard Rock Nick to sell a cameo when you could just come pay us? Why not, right? Golly. I don't know. Thank you for all the kind words. Everybody's being very kind.
Unnecessarily, the only one that I have any good experience with lately was Arcade, and they didn't reach out to me. I reached out to them. I was recommended, so Mac reached out to them and he mentioned me, and then they asked me to be one of the KOLs for their token launch, which is just a fancy marketing word for influencer, and there was no payment, but they let us invest in one of their pre-sales. So I didn't get paid for it, but I did get to invest at a low price, which is sort of tangential to a payment. Because, while it's not guaranteed to go up, it's pretty close. And I told them straight up, I was like, I might not be what you're looking for, because I'm not going to make a video and put it on the page because it would be really out of place. Nobody's going to watch it. It's going to do terrible. It's going to get horrible views and everyone's going to be grumpy about it. So I just rather wouldn't do it. But we'll invite you on the show and we'll interview you guys and you can make your case yourself and we'll give you an entire 2 hours if you want. And they said, cool, that's way better, because I don't even know how to put this into a short form video. I'm really long winded. I'd rather just talk about it for an hour. I was like, perfect. So we had their CEO, and one of the I actually don't know what Kevin's title is. He's Kevin. He's also one of the co-founders.
So delightful. He's prolific in the chat.
Yeah. Anyway,
I really enjoyed Kevin.
And we said the same thing with them on the channel, and I'll say it again now. Their like public sale, like the TGE, the token generation event, is today. Pretty soon, if it didn't like just happen 10 minutes ago. I don't remember what time it happens, but the just be super careful because they had a lot of pre-sales. The pre-sales sold out insanely quick. The longest pre-sale that they had was 1 minute, with most of them going in 15 to 20 seconds. This thing is probably going to have a huge spike on public launch, and it's probably going to crater after that. And it's going to take a little while to sort of breathe and find its place and peter out. So like I always recommend, and I told them, I was like, if this is also a deal breaker, tell me now. Don't. It's probably not worth it to try your hand at the public sale. Like let the thing breathe for a little bit and figure out where it's going to live. Because if you can guarantee one thing about a token launch, it's that it will crash shortly after launch because lots of people got pre-sale allocations. And they are waiting for the public launch to sell. Specifically, they're waiting to sell their initial investment. So it's a real rocky time in any token's history. But just be careful with that.
I don't really want to comment on this because it's not something that I think you need to pay attention to me about. But just as one friend to another asking, do you think a war will cut a bull market short? Do you think a war will break out? I would just say, I hope not. I don't know enough about geopolitics to speculate. It's like speculating on what Bitcoin will be worth tomorrow. All I would say is for any of our listeners, especially who are living in a place not like us, where this kind of thing affects your life more immediately every day, my heart really goes out to you. And I hope so much that there can be a meaningful and lasting peace for people who are struggling and suffering and affected by conflict and war. War affects everything. It will certainly affect the market. Who knows how? It will make some people rich. It will make some people poor. But do you have anything to add, Alex?
Just that I think anyone, and again, I'm not saying this to call anybody out, but asking a question about like personal investments at a time when the people who are being affected by something are way more worried about like surviving to the end of the day. It's just the wrong question to be asking at that time.
Yes, the newsletter is coming today. So it's like Santa Claus coming to town was gonna. Usually it happens on the weekends. This particular weekend, I was not. I was just. I got an audition for a Mountain Dew commercial. I told you. And it's the guy who they want to carry their campaign. So pray for me. But then there was crypto again. There was other stuff. So the newsletter is coming today. And it usually will come on the weekends. We just finally got a template over to Email Octopus, and we're kind of working out a good workflow. So stay tuned. You're early. The newsletter's coming. It's going to have some good stuff in it. Sign up at my profile, Alex's profile, or theriseupmorningshow.com. And Tori,
because
I agree with you. Go ahead, Alex.
Just because I love him, I'm going to throw Evan right under the bus with regards to the newsletter from this weekend. He checked in with me multiple times from Friday to the end of the weekend about like the status of the newsletter. And I was like, all right, sounds good. And then yesterday comes around and he tells me his plan. And I'm like, cool, let me know what you need. And then he's like, nope, we're good. And then he texted me at like 1 a.m. and was like, it's not happening today, bro. And I was like, damn it, Evan. I've been largely doing nothing today. And
I could hear the frumple of your face through the phone when you said that. You were like, well.
Because like it's not that I'm frustrated that it didn't come out, because I think Evan bit off too much, and he had a lot of stuff going on, and obviously like you had to do your audition. Like that's awesome, and
There's a big audition.
and you had the game going on, and I totally get it. We were trying to win big, and we were all counting on you. But he just like straight up told me there was nothing he needed me to do to help him with the newsletter. And then 1 a.m. rolls around and he's just like, Alex, listen. And I was like, you son of a bitch. Damn it.
Well, it's a good use for decentralization. I have these notes I take, but they weren't uploaded to the drive yet. And my computer was going at about, I don't know what the hell happened to my computer. Even opening Google Drive last night took about 15. And I was like ready to throw something.
Shameless plug. Because I'm sending more like sponsorship offers and request emails out today. We are actively raising money to buy Evan a piece of technology that was made in the last 100 years. Evan has an iPhone potato, and he's working off of a desktop computer that he fished out of a dumpster. One time I made a joke to a bunch of guys in the Navy that I was in firefighting school with. That's another story. But they were commenting on like all of the new computers they just got in their office, and then they were like, well, did you guys just do it, get it too? And I was like, yeah, we just got some new computers. They're the ones that we pulled out of your guys' dumpster after you got your newest haul. And that's Evan. Evan watches everyone like get new stuff, and then he dumpster dives for the computer that they threw away but now you're getting to the point, Evan, where we do enough stuff where you need a better machine. We need to get you a better setup. But of course, they're super expensive. So I'm pitching to a bunch of pre-built PC companies and different computer companies that, hey, we stream. There's thousands and thousands of viewers every single week. And wouldn't you love it if we would just give you a commercial every single one of our shows to thank you for the machines that we're streaming to you from?
Yeah. And it would be like Pretty Woman, like the rags to riches story of the guy who had the chronically terrible tech and now is just fast and happy, whatever. I would be a good commercial for a company like that, honestly, truly.
No, dude, seriously, I want to see the look on Evan's face when he uses a phone that was made in the last 10 years and a computer that was made in the last 20. Like, that's what I want for him more than anything.
It's so fast. Yeah. Alex was in the Coast Guard. He was not in the Navy, and you really should. Sometime when we're doing Rise Up After Dark, maybe we should get off topic and dig into some of your stories, because there are some great stories about being under the sea and being over the sea in the air and probably, everything in between. Alex has got some really good ones, and I haven't heard most of them, I'm sure, so,
Most people haven't.
Yeah. Well, the ones you can share on TV and you want to tell that you think will be worth it, we obviously want to hear them.
I certainly have a lot. Anyone who was deployed or served will tell you they have no shortage of sea stories. But no, I was not in the Navy. I just went to school with a lot of Navy guys because they send us all to the same training program. So this is a real school. I'm not making this up. There's a school called the USS Buttercup, which is a fake cutter on the East Coast. It's in Virginia. And we all go there for shipboard firefighting. So you learn how to because there's no fire department when you're, 60 miles offshore. There's just you. So that was probably the most intense school that I went to. It's like shoring. They put you in a shipping container that mimics the inside of a boat. And then they blow a bunch of holes in it and start filling it up with water while you're all inside, and you have to stop it from filling up and drowning you. And that's kind of that's the school.
And you either pass or you die.
Dude, say what you will. The military has a very efficient way of training you to do something because when I was learning about crashing in a helicopter, they put you in the body of a helicopter suspended over a pool and then drop it in the pool and turn it upside down and sink it to the bottom. And then you try to unbuckle your seatbelt and swim out of the window. And then there's an instructor who just puts his hand on your head and shoves you back into the helicopter and spins you around and hits you in the head and then shoves you a different direction. And then you pull another door and he's like, this door's locked. And then you're just drowning in there while a bunch of guys in scuba gear are just pointing and laughing at you. But you figure out real quick how to get out of the, flipped up helicopter pretty quickly because your life was on the line.
Oh my God. So Unnecessarily Crypto was in the Army and agrees that we can all come together now to poke fun at Space Force. Is Space Force really real? Are people going to the Space Force?
It's real.
What do they do? How do they deploy?
Nobody knows. I think they're just kind of, manning the vending machines at the Pentagon or something.
Reposting Elon Musk memes.
I will say that unnecessarily crypto. If you are the water stress is one thing. I think EOD is a whole other animal of stress. So I can only imagine that. I'm sure you can handle the pressure if you were EOD. You know what's funny too is that that TV show with Steve Carell about Space Force. There's a scene where the Joint Chiefs are all sitting around a table at the beginning when they first assign him to be the commanding officer, the commanding general for the entire Space Force. And the guy who is the Coast Guard's commandant, who is sitting at that table, makes a comment about how oh sweet, and he's laughing at the Space Force guy. And then everyone at the table is like, "You're still last, just so you're clear. You're still the worst."
Man, that's great. Yeah, we definitely will need some more stories about that, and then and I don't know. Let's make a soft plan, and maybe we could do Rise Up After Dark this week. We will tell you about it. Alex and I will make a plan. Sign up for the newsletter. You can do one of any places. Mine, his profile, or the riseupmorningshow.com. You don't need to do all three. We have had people do that. You really don't need to. And honestly, it's kind of a pain. So just sign up in one place. And then while you're there, if you want to get on Warpcast because you want to talk to people who are playing Crypto the Game or at Coinbase or at Uniswap or wherever protocol you're concerned about, get on Warpcast and use the referral link at Alex's bio, and then use the one at my bio because it gives us a little warp, doesn't cost you anything extra. And we're trying to just bring people there because that's where a lot of the attention is happening. You should just check it out. Click around. It'll be an hour you could have spent listening to an influencer telling you what to buy, and you will be richer for it. If you want to support the show, tap the screen in the seconds left. Maybe we can get another couple likes. Feel free to share our show. We'll be back here tomorrow at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time, and we will have these episodes on YouTube, which you can also find through the riseupmorningshow.com, where you can join our free Discord community. And stay tuned because aside from just donating to the computer fund, we will have other ways that, if you wish, you can support the show in order to access, more premium content, including cool stuff like the Rise Up Morning Show mug. You can only get it at the Rise Up Morning Show. It supports the show. And we need your feedback on that. So find the testimonial, find the links, find it all at theriseupmorningshow.com. Until tomorrow, when we see you at 7 a.m., my friends, be well, rise up.